And welcome to Pro Landscaper TV. Thank you all for joining us today, whether you're watching it through Facebook Live, Instagram Live, or via the Zoom. And of course, some of you will be watching on the catch-up channels. We're here live every Tuesday at 10 a.m. For roughly around half an hour at a time. All the previous programs that have been available, you can watch on the catch-up channel. If you go to Pro Landscaper website, there's a link there that takes you through to our YouTube channel, which has every single catch-up, every program we have that you can catch up on. We have an excellent array of programs coming up through the rest of May. Starting with next week, we're talking to Wayne Grills, the Chief Exec of Barley, about the rebranding. And of course, next year they'll be celebrating their 50th anniversary to find out what's going on behind the scenes there. We've also then going to have a look at a debate on climate control, but slightly different one. We're going to look at some of the companies that are leading the way in landscaping and try and understand exactly what they've done already and how that could be spread across the industry. As I said, the whole program for the next couple of months is live on the Pro Landscaper website. So please go and check out, and you can book in your times and dates that suit you and the topics you want. Also, if there's any topic that you'd like to put, any questions you'd like to put on any of those topics, please send it to us and we'll try and get it into the conversation. Today I'm delighted to be joined by three of the leading UK colleges and universities. We've got Eyres from Merrist College, we've got Malcolm Goodwin from Capel Manor College, and Mick from Writtle College. And there's quite a bit that we want to get through, so I'm going to ask them all to just do a quick introduction to themselves first, and then we're going to look at the sort of the three main phases. First of all is, how do we get more people to start and get into the college, into the landscaping sector? Once they're in that college, are they getting the right education and the right training that they need? And then finally, when they come out of it, are the landscaping industry getting what they want? And I guess that's all wrapped up in terms of how as an industry we work together, the collaboration. Does everyone understand what everybody else wants out of it? And is there any ways that maybe through debating this, there could be some more consistent collaboration between each of the sectors on it? So welcome, Malcolm. If I can start with you, a quick introduction about you and the college.
Yeah, hello everybody, good morning. Yeah, Malcolm Goodwin, I'm the principal of Capel Manor College. Quickly about Capel Manor first. Capel Manor is in London. We've got 6 sites across London, so we try to cover all points of the compass there. We're about 53 years old. We're a relatively small college, so we're about 17 million turnover, something like that, and that equates to about 3,500 students in total. So that's Capel. Myself, gardening and landscaping was a second career for me. I went back to Merrist College, was a student there. So very pleased with that. It set me on a journey. So I started doing a bit of landscaping when I came out of Merrist. But I found head gardening was my first choice, so I became head gardener and I've worked through that, and then I eventually came back into education and so on, so to teach horticulture and move up to the management chain. But that's me.
Thank you, Malcolm. Anna, if we can come to you, please.
Hello, my name's Anna. I came into horticulture sort of straight from school, so I'm one of those people that did horticulture for my whole career. I've worked in private estates, gardens, garden centres. I've worked at Reading University, and then came into teaching much later. I've been teaching on the landscape course since, well, I say much later, probably for 20 years. Been looking after adults, 16 to 18-year-olds, full-time courses, part-time courses. My main focus in terms of my teaching has been the plant and soil science, but I've been teaching all sorts of aspects. A little bit about Merrist. Merrist is, if you're not aware, is near Guildford in Surrey. We've been around since just after the Second World War. We also, like Barley, are just about to celebrate 50 years of landscape teaching at Merrist, originally having started as an agricultural college. What some people may not be aware of is just about 2 years ago, we merged with a large educational organisation called Activate Learning. So we're now part of this big group of colleges that stretches all the way up to Oxford, and what that's brought to us has brought a lot of expertise, but also a lot of funding, and we've got great things happening in the future, not only in all aspects, but particularly in horticulture and landscape. We've got some exciting investment going on in that area.
It's certainly nice to hear investment in training and in horticulture. Fantastic. Don't normally get that in the same sentence, do you? So really, really good. Mick, then have we come to you?
Yes, hello. My name is Mick Lavelle. I'm a senior lecturer in landscape management at Writtle University College. Writtle University College is long established, been around 128 years. And what really defines us as being different to many other places that teach horticulture is the fact that you can do it right the way from the sort of basic sort of level 2 qualifications, you know, through RHS and all the city and guild style things, right the way through to doing a PhD. So, and we concentrate quite a lot on the degree side of things, and that's where I work. I work predominantly teaching undergraduate students. I'm mostly responsible for looking after first year students, shepherding them through the door, making sure they settle in, making sure we don't leg it in the first few weeks. My background is I started off as an estate gardener, trained as an estate gardener, did city and guilds, and then went on to do an HND, whereupon I encountered landscaping as in the HND stage of things, and worked for a large commercial landscaper in the Milton Keynes area as part of that, and then afterwards. And then after a short period abroad, I came back and was coerced into sort of into lecturing in my late 20s, and feeling that I was far too young for it, went into it, and I've done that ever since. And so my background's been very much dealing with degree level things. So I think that's where I sort of concentrate on today.
Okay, excellent. So the first question I got, and I guess there's a couple of parts to it. One is in terms of getting people into the college, in terms of encouraging people from school to look at the horticulture and landscaping. And I guess people that have been in there for quite a while, is that easier now, harder now? How much effort goes into it? Are you waiting for people to approach you, or is there a proactive way of trying to encourage people to come out of school and go straight into the horticultural type training? Should we start with you, Anna, on that one, if possible?
Yeah, sure. It's a bit of a mixture of things. We do go out deliberately looking for students. We take part in sort of school activities. We spend a lot of time sort of marketing ourselves, but there is a bit of people just knowing about Merrist Wood and coming to us. I don't know if it's because of COVID. We have last year and this year had very high numbers of students, you know, almost to the point of being oversubscribed, having to put on extra groups. You know, there could be, there's all sorts of reasons. Numbers do go up and down over the years, but they certainly seem to be going up at the moment in both the 16 to 18-year-olds and in the adults, so career changes, but also people looking at horticulture as a new career. It is sometimes difficult to get into schools. Sometimes they want to keep hold of their students, but there seems to be, locally to us, we seem to be able to communicate with the schools and get across our message and get them to realise, you know, what a career in horticulture, what a career in landscaping is, because I think a lot of schools don't actually realise there's still, with some people, a view that it's just going to be weeding, you know. So it's getting that message across, showing that it is, you know, a really skilled profession. And I think the new suite of qualifications help to do that, to show that it's a profession, and getting that message across.
Lovely.
Yeah.
So make the same for you then. And you know, is it becoming? I'm trying to choose my right words here, but in terms of where beforehand it was like, actually, if you can't be a doctor, why don't you you know, it's a lower end of it. Is that still the impression that you're getting in terms of people that are coming through, or are more educated and better qualified people also looking now to come into landscaping and horticulture?
I think that it's one of these things really where if we look at the demographic of the students that come in to our course at Writtle, where at the degree at one point was very large, because we got a lot of people who were coming through for retraining, and they'd come through from things like, say, for instance, typically it'd be like a health service, military, or and business and accounting, where people had suddenly sort of started to question what they were doing, or a position in their career where they feel they could, if you like, retire early, but wanted to take on a second career. And so we've always had the sort of a reasonable quality of people coming forward for it. Unfortunately, what's happened with things like equivalent level qualifications, which came in a few years ago, where you couldn't get funding, so loans and things like that to come onto a degree, people who already had a higher level qualification, irrespective of whether they'd taken out any loans or anything before, even if they'd done them overseas, they couldn't then access the funding up front, which meant that people had to find £9,000 every year through the year, even if we did it in stages, to pay for the course. And of course, this was a great sort of that, and the fact that for many people, say perhaps in the 40s, you know, the idea of taking on a loan was something they didn't really want to do, and so the fees had a detrimental effect, as did the ELQs. But what we found, though, is that a lot of these people are now pouring on to things like RHS courses. So we're getting people who have got, if you like, in some cases, postgraduate qualifications, who are then doing a level 2 horticulture course. They're getting reasonable skills from this. And yet the worry from my point of view is that they're not going to be able to operate at the level where traditionally our degree students are always in demand for. All our students get jobs, you know, the 5-6 job offers before they leave on the degree course, you know, so there's a huge demand for that level of students. But unfortunately, we're fueling, if you like, a lower level in the market, which is good in one sense, but I'm not convinced that that's going to be good in the long term for the industry, the horticulture industry generally. I'm talking about horticulture, but of course, landscaping being a significant part of that.
Yeah. And if we come to you, Malcolm, the other question for you, Malcolm, on top of that, talk about the students as well, is like the diversification of people coming in. Are we getting a mixture in terms of the female, male, and how's that working?
Well, I can only speak for Capel on that one. You know, we are, I mean, we're reasonably diverse, a bunch of students coming into the college. It's not as diverse as London. You know, London is about 40% non-white. So, you know, so that's our target. That's what we aim for. We're a little over halfway on that target. But I mean, I think, you know, sort of a 20% diversity in things is generally very good in, you know, what we call our land-based sector. So I don't know whether Anna and Mick can, you know, throw any more light onto that. But you know, I think diversity is a really important point of it. I mean, you know, it's something that we're really passionate about and really push very hard. We want to have that diversity of people coming into the sector. I think, is this what you're asking about, Jim?
No, I think it's really important. Okay. Yeah, really important.
Yeah. So absolutely. I mean, we should be representative, and we should give opportunity left, right, and centre. So, you know, our doors are wide open to anybody that wants to join. And we know, you know, Mick was alluding to it, but we know there's a massive skills shortage out of there, you know, especially for landscaping. So there's great opportunities for people, you know, both to go and work for others and to you know, set up their own businesses, be entrepreneurial in that area. So there's great opportunities there. If I could, I'll just come back on some of the reach out and the recruitment and things. I mean, you know, I think I'm hearing it certainly from Anna. We very much focus on the practical skills, so we're more the GCSE A level sort of levels, you know, level 2, level 3s. So that's our focus, and delivering the practical skills for people. We got, you know, 1,500, 1,800 people studying horticulture generally, so that includes landscaping and design and all those sort of related subjects. Well, what I would say, it is hard work. It's really hard work. I mean, in London, there's 9 million people. You're trying to, you know, heaven alone knows how many schools, don't know off the top of my head, but there's a lot of them. So, you know, it's really hard work getting out to those people. But, you know, what we've done in recent years is transition to the digital marketing. You know, in the past colleges, I think, you know, we relied a lot on open days and a lot on sort of physical outreach and things. But, you know, we can now do virtual sessions, and say digital marketing and all the Google Analytics help us to focus where the energies and resources that we've got, you know, need to go. So that's making an impact. I'd love to have Anna's problem. We're not oversubscribed. You know, we can certainly take absolutely more. I mean, I say the doors are wide open. So, but I think, you know, when you go into schools and things and you talk about horticulture and landscaping, those sort of careers, you're competing against a lot of, you know, very attractive high-end careers as well. So I'm not a moany sort of person, but I mean, it's a reality that, you know, schools, and alluded to it, schools will be saying, you know, have you thought about the sixth forms? Have you thought about, you know, the university routes and so on? So we're competing against that. We all know, having worked in the industries, how brilliant they are. We know what difference they can make. And actually, you know, with climate change and biodiversity and all those sort of challenges, I think, you know, there's no more important careers around. But it's still hard work getting that message out. So again, you know, my message is, I mean, any help we can do and any collaboration we can do together, it's really important we do get that message out, particularly to the under 19s.
Okay. Just before I leave you on that, Malcolm, in terms of that diversity and setting a target, are you proactively going out to try and recruit the diverse market? Have you consciously made a decision that that's the route that you wish to go down?
It's the route we do go down, yeah, absolutely. We've been going down for some time. So no, we work very hard on it. So we reach out to particular communities and say, have you thought about this? So some communities, you know, have very, you know, clear views about where they actually should be going. So we just want to introduce to them, you know, a different conversation, to say that, you know, some of the things that we market ourselves as environmental, really, is primarily what we do.
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know, working in the environment, and you know, landscaping can be as green as any other industry and so on. So, but you know, sharing those messages with groups, we list out schools. You know, we've got schools that come to us that we know that they're good recruiters, but actually, you know, you need to go to schools that are not necessarily, you know, coming to you all the time, perhaps with a different, you know, demographic and so on. So, yeah, we work very hard to reach out on that. And obviously, when you've got staff on board that are from a diverse range of backgrounds as well, you know, that's a really good message and breaks the ice and so on. So, but we need really good people coming into colleges, you know, with great landscaping skills, you know, that are prepared to actually sort of share those skills with people. And if they're from diverse backgrounds too, I mean, that's terrific. That makes our lives a lot easier.
And Merrist would set themselves a target for diversity. And are you actively looking to recruit in the diversity market?
Yeah, we're nowhere near the same as Capel in terms of our diversity here in Guildford, but yeah, we do definitely have a target. We do aim to recruit, have a diverse student population. We're nowhere near where we would like to be at the moment. It's as Malcolm says, it's trying to reach out to those communities, very much like him, emphasising the environmental credentials of the industry. That's very important, I think, to a lot of people at the moment, and so using that. But yeah, as I say, we do have a target.
Yeah. Okay, and Mick, I get what's coming. Maybe we need to rebrand our industry into a way then, and you know, sort of move away from landscaping or horticulture and look at environment as a branding across that covers all. What's your sort of thoughts on that?
Well, it's very much what we have done really at Writtle over the last few years. I mean, it's most noticeable with the agriculture courses at the moment, where we now run courses like regenerative agriculture. One of the real issues, I think, is that for a long time, things like the environment were very much a white middle class concern. And I think that if you start to look at the interests of people who are sort of in their early to mid-teens at the moment, you'll have to look at the sort of the huge movement that's going on with Greta Thunberg and things like that. You start to realize there is a difference, and a lot of our younger students are coming in with very, very committed views towards improving the environment, which of course music to my ears. I mean, I did environmental management as my MSc simply because I wanted to introduce more of that into what I did in terms of what I'd seen in landscape and what I thought was good and what I thought could be improved. And so I think that's definitely something. The issue always is with these sorts of things. I remember having this conversation with the head of department a couple of years ago, where it was suggested we should move away from the title of a horticulture degree. And I said, well, what else are we going to call it then? And there's all these things around. And my sort of last view on it, if you like, is I said, I'll change it when the RHS change their name. because we have identifiable markers within society. Unfortunately, they're sometimes value laden. Horticulture means one thing to one person and another thing to another, depending on their experience. Landscaping, but I don't know how many of you listening ever think, how often if you say I'm a landscaper, do you go, oh, landscape gardener? And there's this sort of idea of wanted to make sure you're pigeonholed in there in a way which, if you said, you know, I'm a hematologist or, you know, I'm a neurosurgeon, you wouldn't say, oh, you're a neurosurgeon doctor or something like that. You know, they wouldn't sort of instantly try and pigeonhole you. And I think that's the issue sometimes, is that horticulture and landscaping appear less than impressive to people in terms of when you describe them. And we know what it's all about. We know why it's interesting and important, but rebranding it is one thing. But unfortunately, rebranding is one of those things which tends to sort of achieve nothing in some ways, you know. So I think what we need to do is just make it clearer about mission, really, rather than rebranding it. I mean, landscaping is landscaping. Nobody's really going to have any real appetite for changing names and things like that. But I think if you start to think about it in terms of what that means to people and what message is going out there, and especially picking up on this very identifiable undercurrent of younger people who are extremely concerned about the climate, for instance, you know, as just one of the aspects we're concerned about. I think this is the sort of thing which might be more of a winning strategy. I'm looking at this from degree level studies, but I think that it's also the same for further education. You know, that people are definitely more committed in that respect, younger people, than, say, for instance, traditionally the sort of white middle class core of conservation, which existed for a long time. So.
Okay. So I'm going to move it on slightly now. And so in terms of once we've got people into the courses, I just wondered if there's any, well, there are a couple of things. One is how many drop out quickly, and is that because once I guess they've agreed to do it and they're committed to doing it, maybe if we could keep more people in, then we'd have more people coming out at the end of it with the right qualifications. And then I don't know if any of you have any kind of statistics in terms of once they've finished the course, how many of your students actually then go on to work within the sectors that they've chosen. Anna, can I start with you on that one?
Yeah, absolutely. We don't get a big dropout rate on our courses. They usually, you know, once they're on the course, if they do, it would be for ill health or some quite significant reason. So I think that's partly down to how we prepare the students. So we get them in for a pre-course sort of taster, so they kind of know what to expect, and that's important that the students know what the course is going to be about. So sort of numbers on the courses are fairly sort of static once they start on the course. Sorry, Jim, I've forgotten the second part of your question.
I don't know if you track then how many of them actually then go out and work within the sector.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It is something that we do, and like Mick, we get very good, you know, they all get offers of jobs. They good progression into the industry. Many of them stay there for a long time. There are a lot of local companies that, you know, I can look at and I can go, oh yeah, taught them. There are, I'm not going to say, you know, we're 100%. There are people who just as they've changed career to go into horticultural landscape, will then later on change career and come out of it. But one of the things that we found that's really important is working with the industry. And it's been more difficult in the last 12 months, but getting the employers to come in and visit us, and getting students working with those employers and doing work experience really then benefits both. It benefits the student in finding out really what it's like to work, because, you know, the college is an artificial situation. They're learning some of the skills and the knowledge, and I'm not going to pretend we can teach them all the skills and the knowledge, because we can't. They're going to learn a lot of that on the job, but doing work experience is really important in order to gain some of those skills. And one of the things that we're working on is what we call project-based learning. And we want to work with employers on setting up a real life project that the students will work on in addition to their vocational qualification, and sort of learn different skills like communication skills, problem solving skills, and those sort of wider skills that they need, those wider sort of attributes, I suppose I could call them, sort of, you know, enterprising skills and making them more confident. And that's what's going to make our students more employable. And as I say, we are getting very good employability for our students, and them all getting offers of jobs. Those that are going straight out into employment. We do have some that are going on to university. We don't offer degree courses, but we've got students who are then looking to progress, and they might go to Writtle, or they might go elsewhere, and progress further up. So it's not just employment. We're looking at, you know, all the stages that students can take.
Okay, thanks so much, Malcolm. I'm going to come to you just on that. Then, how much would a student, in terms of the practicalities, get out into the market? How do you have work experience and things like that, or how much of it is sort of based around just the classroom?
In my view, as little as possible is ideal. So, you know, I said before, you know, I firmly believe in, you know, getting your hands-on practical skills is everything. I also believe that unless you've done it for real, you know, all the deeper learning takes place when you actually do it for real. So, you know, yeah, we do obviously do things like work experience and so on. Again, that's where we need, you know, employers and business to help, you know, really important. So we get students out on work experience, but our model is to try and get students sort of immersed in it right from day one. So, you know, for example, on the Enfield campus, there's 34 acres of grounds. You know, we get the students out working on those grounds. They're live grounds, they're open to the public, people pay to come and see them. You know, so they should be developing the standards that, you know, of presenting public gardens, you know, for money right from the outset. So that means, you know, horticulture, you know, and we give the designers and the landscapers every opportunity to do, you know, real work within that. So if there's a fence needs fixing, or there's a pavement needs relaying, you know, that they're real jobs to be done. So that's my firm belief, and we try to achieve that. Again, I kind of probably not 100% on that, but that's certainly the beating heart of our culture, what we're trying to achieve in it. So that's really important. We've had fantastic relationship with people like Marshalls and things in the past. You know, they've helped with materials, and then we've been able to do, you know, projects based on that. So, but real, tangible, lasting projects, I think that's where you get a lot out of it. And like I think, you know, you can, this work experience is one way, but things like Chelsea, you know, shows and so on, you learn a lot from that. Not necessarily sort of, you know, laying some sets and things, but I mean, you learn a lot about yourself and delivery and so on. So, you know, we do those as often as possible. 3 years ago, we built the world's largest show garden at the Countryside Fair at Hatfield. So students get a hell of a lot out of that, you know, and again, that was in collaboration with, you know, landscapers and, you know, other specialist and things. So you get a lot from that. And I think that's really where I also talk about colleges, you know, you have to grow the person. The qualification is a part of that, but actually you grow in the person. So, and we all know, all the pro landscapers around the room here will know that, you know, running their businesses, you know, is a lot more wider skill set than the landscaping bits. You know, it's a lot more to it. So, you know, that's really what the focus is, I think, and has to be more so for colleges.
Just a quick question before we start moving on to the collaboration, but in a way, this is a good stepping stone. How much input does the landscaping sector have into the courses that you produce, and the training skills and the training requirements, and what they need from people coming out of it? I'll start again with you, then Malcolm is.
Well, I'm going to go the other way and just say, you know, the doors are wide open to as much as possible. You know, there's no way we can stay up to date with absolutely everything across the industry. The only way, you know, the people that are up to date are you guys. So you know, you're using the cutting edge techniques, you're using the right tools, you understand what the trends are, what the market, ebb and flows. So, you know, I mean, the more, you know, maybe I'm jumping into the collaboration a bit too much, but I mean, the more that we can get people into colleges, you know, demonstrating or just talking to students about experience and things, that's brilliant. So, like Anna, you know, our guys, you know, the people that choose to come to our college make a very intelligent and thoughtful choice. In the old days, people used to randomly go to college because they weren't quite sure what to do. I don't know about the other guys, but what I've seen the trend over the years is that people are doing their work, they're doing their research, and they make really conscious choices. So the people that come to us stay with us. You know, the retention for us is 98, 99%. So like Anna, you've got to really be poorly or have some life event that gets in the way of you finishing. So, and it's partly because people are really choosing to do that, and really they're voting with their feet. They're saying, this is something I want to buy into. So we've got to help them through that journey, really. So so the more collaboration we have, the more real it is. I mean, I'm interested in having the business leader or the pro landscaper for the future that's got that full set of skills, really deeply ingrained. And if I'm honest, I think what I've seen in some colleges, I'm actually going to speak for myself. I'm not sure we're great at that sort of cutting edge stuff, but whether we can do that all the time, is near impossible when you've got so many different subject areas as well. So hence the sort of we're really open to collaboration.
We'll move on. I feel like that happens. I'm not sure. But in terms of that collaboration, is there a structure where that happens, or is it just left quite loose? Is there a process? And I guess when we come to Anna and Mick on that, they can answer as well. But is there a structure how that collaboration, in terms of how you work with the industry, or is it purely somebody gets off their butt to come and talk to you and say, we've got this idea? How does it work?
For me, it rests on people. When you've got passionate people in, that they will make things happen. So and actually getting really, really great people to come and work in FE colleges is a tough ask. It's fairly tough being a teacher. It's a fairly tough gig. I'm in it, and I guess Mick and Anna are in it because they passionately care about the industry as a pipeline, right? We want to get the connections right. So we're back, in colleges, sharing knowledge and skills and passion with a new generation of people coming through. So, but when you get a passionate person in, for me, this is my view, a passionate person comes into the curriculum area, wallop, lots of things start to happen. But, you need to tango, you need two people, right? So you need the industry there, at the other side also being passionate about it and really being, prepared to put them, the time where the intention is. So, again, I mentioned it before, but the Marshals one, we suddenly, found, an organisation that just couldn't do enough and things, and it really kick-started so many things. So we don't have a particular framework, but we do have an attitude towards it. For me, it seems, key, absolutely key and vital. So we'll do anything to make that happen. But, a couple of good people either side dancing, and you get a really good Strictly performance. I'm not mixing too many metaphors here.
Lovely. Anna, follow that.
Similar to Malcolm, we have an employer liaison forum. People are invited to join that. The way that happens is, who do I know? Who do my colleagues know? So if anybody wants to join it, they're very welcome to contact us. But it's down to people. It's partly down to, as Malcolm says, I do have a real passion for horticulture. So I'll go out looking for people. Recently I found somebody who does aeroponics. I want to engage with them. So I'll go out and I'll be looking for people. But if people come to me and say they want to share something with the students, then I'm always open to that. We'll use Barley and APL. We'll use them to help us with contacts. We might go to them and say, well, who can you suggest to come in and talk to the students about X, Y, or Z? So it's about communicating with the industry. It's about me going out to the industry, but it's about the industry coming to us, because it's the industry that's got that latest up-to-date information. We can only keep as up to date as we can do. It's by collaborating and communicating that we're all going to benefit. We struggle to find sufficient staff. The reason that we could expand, the reason we can't expand anymore, is at the moment is finding those industry people that are going to come and impart that knowledge onto our students. So yeah, as I say, it could be me going out, could be them coming in, or not just me, my colleagues. We've all got a wide range of companies that we're familiar with, or where students have previously worked, that have been our students, have gone out to work and maybe want to come back and share some of those skills and knowledge that they've gained in the industry. But yeah, it's really all about talking to the industry.
Lovely. Mick?
Sorry, I didn't unmute. Yeah, the risk of covering everything which was said before. I mean, I think that liaison with industry is important. All our courses are based upon, they start off with a dialogue with industry, and we do try and keep industry input all the way through them. One of the things the things that always struck me, so like 30 years now working in horticultural training and education, is that the key thing when you're trying to get collaboration with industry is to really try and get them to think about the difference between what we do well in terms of colleges, which is education and training. And the way I've explained it in the past, and I've got a 12-year-old daughter who's at school, and as part of the curriculum, she'll have to do sex education. And I've got absolutely no problem with that whatsoever. If it was training, however, I might have a difference of opinion, okay? And I think this is the thing. I mean, it's a line, it's a sort of a bit of a gag, if you like, in a sense, but it makes the point. Well, colleges are not well set to do training in that sort of sense. We can do short courses and things like that, but what we really do, especially at degree level, is what I'm predominantly talking about now, is we're preparing the student for what they need to do when they're working at a particular level within the industry. And I think it's important industry has an expectation then of what a student will be able to do. And very often I'll liaise with employers and they say, oh, well, I got this student and they didn't know how to drive a particular tractor. Well, why would they? You've got that tractor, that we can't be expected to do all of these things. And there's a limit on what we can do, but we can provide a really good product. And the employers which we have the most successful relationship with for our graduates are the ones who offer further training. And training is something which industry is really well set up to do. But it's really important, I think, that the employers recognise how well set they are to do training for all reasons that have already been said, but also to sort of think, but we shouldn't try then and sort of think that we're educators necessarily, that we're going to get these people really up and running in terms of the job, but to try and have that sort of partnership with colleges and universities to make sure that they can reasonably expect something to come out at a particular level with particular sets of skills, and then they can continue that skilling of the individual according to where they go and work. And I think that's where our sort of collaboration has worked really well, because we're quite well set up. We've got an awful lot of our alumni working out in the industry, and very many of them sort of know what to expect. One of the biggest problems we have now is the fact that, say, for instance, when I trained, I did an HND, which involved a pre-year, where I had to work for a year, first year, which was 35 hours a week in the classroom out on practicals. I then went off, and that was for 35 weeks of the year. I then went off and did a year in industry and came back and finished that. And a lot of people remember that, and that is not the model which colleges are allowed to operate under now. And it is a legal obligation sometimes as to how much time we can deliver and what we can charge for, etc. And I think that if the industry understands what the limitations are for a college, it can then sort of understand what it might reasonably expect, rather than berating it and saying, we can't, these students are coming out, can't do this, so we're going to set up our own university, our own college. And I have to say, over 30 years experience in all this, I've seen a lot of different initiatives come out from industry in the past, which, because they've decided to go set up their own college, they suddenly realise some of the implications of that and the difficulties. So it works best when there's a really good partnership. And in some ways, I think, we do well at that. Industry keeps asking us, can we have more graduates? And if I knew how to get more people onto courses, I would be supplying 10 times the number of graduates quite willingly for them. So, but I'll stop now because I know you've got.
Okay, good. So very conscious then, the last question, we're running out of time, and it's a sort of double thing. I guess it's, in a way, is like the Barley Go landscape, which is a good initiative. What's your thoughts on that? And also, if there was one thing that the listeners here, and let's say listeners in terms of garden designers or landscape owners, what one thing would you like to see them do more to support and help you? I'm going to start with you then, Anna, in terms of Go Landscape, and then also what you would like to see, the one thing you think we could improve on as an industry.
yeah, Go Landscape, it's been brilliant. We've been involved with that. We've found it very beneficial. It's I think with all these things though, they start off with a lot of impetus, and sometimes things can start to sort of drift and fall away a bit. And I think, of course, the last 12 months have taught us a lot. They've taught us a lot about reaching out to people in an online fashion, and this is a good example of it. But they've also made it perhaps a bit more difficult to engage with the industry, to get the industry in, and to use some of the tools that we've used previously. So I think this is a really good opportunity to kind of revisit and refresh our relationships, and our sort of activities, and things like Go Landscape would be one of those. One thing that's difficult, you keep coming to me first, so I don't have time to think of things.
So as you said there, I'm gonna leave you to think, and you can have the very last word of the morning. So Malcolm, let's come to you as you've had time to think of it.
No, I think Anna thought very well, actually, to be honest. I mean, I'm just going to echo what Anna said, because you know, the Go Landscape is a great initiative, and you know, people like Barley, I think, have been great. And very supportive over a period of time. You know, very happy with that, and then we're very happy with our collaboration with people like Barley. But I was just reflecting as Anna was speaking. I mean, from a student's point of view, I mean, you know, I should say, you know, we've in Capel, we've got you know, 2,000 adult students and 1,000 under 19s. So when we say a student, I don't know what people have got in their mind, but there's a whole range of people, you know, from a whole range of backgrounds, a whole range of ages, and a whole range of motivations. So, but anyway, you know, from a student's point of view, those messages directly from, you know, if I may say, the horse's mouth, you know, from somebody that was a student, you know, Mick said the alumni, they're brilliant. You know, so if you're an alumni of your college, go back to it and talk to the students. What was your journey like? You know, what did you get from your course? You know, what were you missing? What were your next steps? How did you set up the business? You know, what are the problems taking on people, or holding people, or, you know, getting the next contract or client or whatever. So, you know, that real life experience, I think, makes a difference. I mean, I think students are pretty switched on. You know, they kind of know, they don't know the industry, but they're pretty switched on about, you know, the way they're looking for it and who they are. So I think those sort of messages are really, really powerful. You know, and it's direct stuff. You know, if you're working in the Southeast, go to a Southeast college and share your experiences. So it would make a lot of difference.
Okay, Mick?
Yeah, I think mirroring a lot of what's been said already. I think really the initiative is only as good as the sort of the partnerships it inspires, I think, really. And one of the things that, from my point of view, I'd like to see would be going back to this point about what a student might expect afterwards, would be a greater sort of degree of sort of, if you like, not finding as students necessarily, but there's lots of good and talented landscape workers, if you like, who have got the opportunity to, you know, maybe to go on and do better. Unfortunately, for most employers, the idea of saying, well, you're great, you're doing me good work, and you're earning me plenty of money, and so I'd like you to go off and work for some, go to college, not earn me any money anymore. It's not a particularly attractive thing.
Yeah.
And yet, ironically, if the industry works with the universities and colleges, that's how it benefits the whole of the industry. And because landscaping is very fragmented, there's lots and lots of small to medium-sized enterprises, and that makes it very difficult to talk. You talk with Barley, or dare I say the APL, or the Landscape Institute, and any of the other, even to accept the HTA, although they've got a more mixed kind of economy, and they all understand the importance of this, but unfortunately the members sort of see things on a day-to-day point of view. And I think that one of the first steps, therefore, would be to really sort of be able to sort of paint a picture of, like, you know, if you come into landscaping and you go and train at a college at this level, when you come out, the industry will support you in this way, and these are your prospects. If you then decide to go back and do further training, at that stage when you leave, this is the way that the industry will support you. And to really sort of, like I say, to really sort of foster education as part of an initiative, and put that where it's important, but also then to say we will train you. Because I think that students like to know that they're going to be looked after. And especially now, I mean, if your A-level students have been very well looked after all the way through school, and they're suddenly thrown into this sort of enormous sort of vacuum, as far as I'm concerned, where they've got in a degree level where they've got to be very self-sustaining. And I think that a lot of them find a real comfort in the fact that when they finish, we help them through the degree, that they go off and we do some graduate level training. And these have been really, really successful initiatives. And students coming back in better cars than mine, you know, better salaries than mine, you know, which of course, if there's no advancement, what's the point in doing it, you know? So I'm very pleased with the outcome, but that's not always evident, if you like. And it's very difficult for us to paint that. We have to really have industry doing it. And I think this is the challenge, if you like, is how does industry really come together to be able to do this and genuinely buy into it, and admit that sometimes you're going to, some of the good staff are going to slip through your fingers, but then somebody else's good staff are going to come your way as well, you know, so.
Perfect. So Anna, the last word for you then today.
Thank you. I think really echoing what Mick and Malcolm have said, it's all about, you know, the thing that I really want is I want the industry to come and engage and to, as Mick said, to understand that we can't deliver everything, and that they need to be working with us and that they can help us with that training, and you know, a sort of a collaboration. That's what we need to be working towards.
Excellent. Well, I'd like to thank you very much for taking the time and effort to come out today, especially as it's still teaching time, and I know you're away from maybe your day job, so very much appreciate that, and thank you all very much. Thank you all for watching, and we look forward to seeing you next Tuesday at 10 AM, where I'll be speaking to Wayne Grills, the Chief Executive of Varley. Thank you all very much. Thank you.